Now we're going to get back into the region, and that's our region, Turkey now, where the country is battling several diplomatic crises all at once. A heated spat with Moscow over the downing of a Russian plane, a conflict with Iraq over its troops stationed there, and a complex stance on the Syrian war, fighting on so many fronts and facing increasing regional isolation. President Recep Erdogan is now reaching out to a rather surprising ally, Israel. Erdogan is famed for his anti-Israel stance, but now he has made his first conciliatory statement towards the Jewish state in years, saying that normalization of relations will have a positive impact on the region. Turkish daily Hurriyet quoted Erdogan as saying there are still obstacles to mending ties since relations soured after the 2010 Marmara incident, when 9 Turks were killed in an Israeli raid on a Gaza-bound flotilla. And the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu apologized for the incident in 2013, but refuses to lift the maritime blockade of the Gaza Strip, one of Turkey's conditions to normalizing relations with the country. To find out if all of this is the start of a true reconciliation, I'm joined in studio by I-24 diplomatic correspondent, I-24 News, Tal Shalev. Ali's still with us, and I've locked Ami Kaufman in. But before anything else, let's take a look at Eli Hochenberg's report that explains Erdogan's sudden change of heart.
Turkey is dealing with a major diplomatic crisis and at the moment seems to be on its own. How alone? So much that it is seeking to put its relations with Israel back on the right track after they reached rock bottom in recent years. After a handful of anti-Israel statements, including some anti-Semitic sentiments, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has signaled a possible warming of ties with Israel, saying the entire region has much to gain from normalized relations. The major breakdown in ties occurred back in 2010 following the Israeli naval raid on the Mavi Marmara flotilla attempting to reach the Gaza Strip. In this incident, 9 Turkish citizens were killed, what triggered a severe diplomatic crisis between Jerusalem and Ankara.
By tomorrow, our mutual diplomatic relations will have been downgraded to the second secretary level. Trade relations and military relations have been suspended.
Washington, an ally of both countries, was determined to bring this feud to an end, and indeed, during the visit of U.S. President Barack Obama to Israel back in 2013, he managed to push Israeli Premier Benjamin Netanyahu to officially apologize to the Turkish president for the Mavi Marmara deaths. The U.S. further attempted to broker negotiations over an Israeli compensation agreement for the victims' families. But those bids failed to bring calm, and Ankara became one of the harshest critics of Jerusalem. Turkish media quoted Erdogan Monday, reiterating the terms for normalization he presented back in 2013, an official apology, a compensation package, and the lifting of the blockade on the Gaza Strip. Thus far, only the first term has been met, and the third is unlikely to happen anytime soon. It might take a long time and some mutual compromises in order to re-establish positive relations, but one thing is for certain: as long as Turkey continues to lose regional friends, ties with its pseudo-enemies, Israel on top of the list, could only get better.
Okay, Tal Shalev, I-24 News diplomatic correspondent here with us, all nice and well. So Erdogan says that. Reaction in Jerusalem, are we friends again?
Well, I would first, I think, try to calm down the enthusiasm. We're not making peace with Erdogan yet. Is there a positive momentum? Yes. That has to do mainly with economic issues, economically motivated natural gas, and B, yes, Turkey is not in a good situation, and in Jerusalem people understand in Jerusalem that Turkey is in a grave situation and is seeking to improve its standing, but it's complicated. This is complicated for Israel. On the one hand, the Israeli Prime Minister and many of his close associates are actually promoting this kind of reconciliation with Turkey because Turkey can be the major customer for Israel's natural gas, both as a consumer but also as an export dock to Europe.
Outwards.
Outwards to Europe. So Netanyahu himself is quite supportive of it, and representatives of the foreign ministry have been coming and going to Ankara in the past few weeks. They will be continuing to go today. But there's also a very large objection in the Israeli political system. It's not only the most vocal representative of this objection is Avigdor Lieberman, the leader of the Israel Beitenu party, but people inside Netanyahu's party agree that Erdogan has to make some changes to his statements and to his behavior. Mainly, Israel has a big problem with the fact that Erdogan supports Hamas and that there are Hamas operatives inside Turkey. This is something that Israel insists has to change. But are we on a positive momentum? Yes. Are we signing a peace deal with Turkey? Not yet.
No, okay. Positive momentum, and of course not to forget, as you just mentioned, that Erdogan needs friends. I mean, I'm wondering with Ali Waked also in studio, I don't know if it's just gas, but didn't he just lose 12% of his tourism industry because the Russians have stopped coming in? How much does he need to kowtow back to the West?
He needs, of course, and I think that Israel is a good gate, especially when he sees that the Israelis are now having some steps taken with the Cypriots and with the Greeks. And who else? Cypriots and Greeks? The Egyptians.
Oh, yes.
And the Egyptians that have a very long bill with Mr. Erdogan because of his support to the Muslim Brotherhood. And the last thing that Erdogan wants to see is an Israeli, Greek, Cypriot, and Egyptian coalition that will endanger the whole economic interests of Turkey and creating another alternatives to the pipes that can lead the gas towards Europe with the support of Egypt in this region, of course. And I adopt one to one what Tal said about Hamas operatives and Hamas investments in Turkey.
But if we talk about mixed messages, just notice, yesterday Erdogan gives for the first time in years this positive statement that shows that there is a positive momentum. After about 4 or 5 hours, the Israeli Prime Minister's office announces the date of the trilateral meeting with Greek and Cyprus at the end of January. So yes, Israel this is a big thing. And of course, all of this new East Mediterranean hub, they share their negative feelings towards Erdogan. It will be interesting to see how he can infiltrate this kind of attempt. Israel has been, and Greece is leading this effort. Greece is leading this effort with Israel. Greece is leading, Tsipras is leading this effort with Sisi. We saw a trilateral meeting between Sisi, Greece, and Cyprus. It's very interesting to see if Turkey can even change this dynamic or how it will change this dynamic.
But of course, I think, we can...
One point that I should add, that Erdogan is keeping investing in both the West Bank and in the Gaza Strip. Almost every month there is an inauguration and opening of a school in the West Bank, financed by the Turkish. There are the institutions that teach the Ottoman language, and the Turkish Ottoman culture are like flourishing in both the West Bank and in Gaza. And this shows that Erdogan want to still have a say in this region, and there is a silent fight between Turkish and Jordan about who will be the main actor in Jerusalem and in the holy sites.
And in the holy sites. Well, it's going to get more...
And we saw, of course, the battle. We saw, of course, the battle when the Minister of Religion in Turkey came, supported by Hamas and by the Islamic movement in Israel. And when the same Minister of Jordan came, he was kicked out of the mosque.
And kicked out of the mosque. That said, it's going to get more and more interesting. And, he's looking for friends. I guess we're going to be here. Thank you all as we move along.